Cool. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I want to announce our special guest for the Excavation Profits podcast. It's Evan Ziemer with Dirtnerd Earthworks, who hails from Canada. And I love to, Evan, the fact that you started your own Facebook group, which is arguably one of the largest, most active communities for excavation contractors. I'm curious how all that turned out. But everyone, give a warm round of applause for Evan. Thanks for joining us, Evan.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And so I guess if we could just start off, tell us a bit about yourself. Give us a little backstory on your business, the size of the operation, and so on.
Yeah, no problem. Started my business back in 2020, right before the fly of COVID started. And I've been talking about it for years. Starting one, I've worked for lots of other excavation contractors and pipeline companies and stuff in the past, but I'd always had an entrepreneurial spirit, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
And just always thought about it and never started because of fear of the what ifs. Lots of mindset stuff and just didn't know how to start, what to do. So I consumed a whole bunch of YouTube content and watched all the guys doing their thing, and I was always talking about it. And to friends and family. My wife finally, she just got sick of me talking about it all the time and said, "Hey, Evan, just shut up and go buy an excavator and get going." So that's really what kind of kicked everything off.
Okay. And so where are you at with the business as far as your team, revenue wise, and so on?
I'm still essentially a one-man band. I've had guys help me a lot in the past. Kind of jobs where I needed an extra machine, I'd rent, or I got laborers they filled in. And then this year, probably halfway through the summer, call it 6 months of the season, I had a guy reach out to me, and he had his own excavator and trailer and everything. And he's like, "Hey, I don't want to do any of the uh, marketing or any of the business stuff. I just want to dig. Would you be open to basically subbing me on and going that route?" And I've been thinking about growing probably for like 2 years of like hiring another guy, buying another machine and all that. But once again, scared to because I didn't want to overstep my bounds, and I didn't know my capabilities, I guess. So that's kind of he's come on, and I kept him busy the whole time, and kind of made me realize, oh shit, maybe I can do this. And next year we're kind of in the process right now of buying another machine. Going to hire an operator, and I'm going to have 3 guys going next year, and myself out of the machine, and I'm just going to be out in front selling jobs. Revenue wise, first year, not knowing anything, I did 80,000. Second year, we did about 160. Third year did 280, and this year we're basically did 400. Just basically me, myself, and I, and then obviously the other guy, he kicked in about 6 months ago.
That's impressive growth. And you are now at a position where you're basically going to be freed up to sell more jobs going into the new year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's a good position to be in. So who is your ideal customer and your kind of your target market out there?
The basically homeowners. I From the beginning of of my career, I guess, to now, it's been 15 years of running and operating equipment. It was always on large excavation sites and large pipeline, oil and gas stuff, and everything was big machines, big equipment. I love pipelining, but on the large, like, building out a subdivision, all that, I never really enjoyed uh, the dust, the radio, the trucks driving, someone's always in your way. I never really enjoyed that. So
Mhm.
when I started Dirtnerd, I was just like, I just want to work for homeowners because it's requires smaller machines. So I could move my own machine. I didn't have to buy a dump truck or get someone to haul a big machine, all that kind of stuff. And I get paid right away, generally, within a couple days. So cash flow is always good. So yeah, homeowners specifically are who I really go after. I've had a couple bigger jobs for like a foundation dig or whatever, and some site clearing and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't turn those jobs away all the time, but I don't chase them either.
And how do you position yourself as the choice for the homeowners that you serve? Like, what's kind of your unique selling proposition to separate yourself?
Our little slogan, and I probably haven't put it out there enough, but it's like we fit in your yard. Um, and Now that you're saying that, I put all my energy into Google My Business, um, and that's obviously linked to our website. You can go check that out if you want. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and just to be found online. And this ties in perfectly with what you're doing. And It's just to be found online. So that means uh, you know really customer oriented, and also Google reviews. I ask every single customer for a Google review, and kind of follow up with that. So now we've got, I think, 73 Google reviews. That my next, I guess, competitors got, I think there's 8, maybe. So just by me doing that, call it the last 4 years, we're if you Google excavation contractors, Okanagan, where we're located here in British Columbia, we're in the top 3 map packs
Right.
consistently, and we're on the first page of Google, and that's strictly from me just focusing on that. Um, and the home builders and the other bigger entities, they just find us that way, but we're mostly focused on homeowners.
Yeah, I saw your reviews. That's really impressive and super powerful because it attracts the higher value jobs,
Hmm.
for sure. Because it's like social proof. Oh, he took care of all these other people. He's definitely going to take care of me.
Yeah, that's right.
So you mentioned the Google My Business. The website's very impressive. What other types of marketing are you doing to bring in clients?
Well, the other two are Facebook and Instagram. So I try to post on there at least once a week. And There's Facebook groups. Obviously, I've got one of those, and I've seen the power of that. Especially in the beginning, I was like in Facebook groups, locally, trying to add value, or every once in a while I'd post a video of Dirtnerd doing their thing inside the Facebook group if it made sense, um, or context for whatever the post was about, or just
Now,
trying to.
are
Hey,
are these like your own Facebook group or mom groups, yard groups, things like that?
yeah, yeah, local groups for my area. So it could be someone asking a question about, like, oh, is this store open? Is this whatever? Like it's just local groups. Um,
Yeah.
And I was pretty heavily into that for the first, call it, year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then as things kind of took off, I admittedly took the foot off the gas pedal there. But that Facebook seems to be the where if there's any customers reaching out via social media, it's Facebook for me over Instagram for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And what about networking? Like you mentioned, some home builders find you and stuff. How have you really worked that sort of networking to get in with them and get on their list, so to speak, of providers for that?
Great question, Scott. Yeah, you know what? I have not. I have not networked at all. I meet people here and there, and that conversation always comes up around what do you do and all that kind of stuff. But I've not actively gone and networked. So like a BMI group or a local chamber of commerce, any of that stuff. So that's a whole area, that's a whole hole that I have not tapped into yet, and that's the plan this season. Well, starting now, essentially, is and another reason why I thought, you know what, maybe I can grow even more because I have not done any of that, and that mostly that's because I was in the machine, doing all the physical digging plus the website stuff plus
Mm-hmm.
invoicing and all of those things. So plan starting now is to do that. So get out and meet other plumbers that might need a ditch dug, plumbing companies, and join my local BMI and all that. So that's on the ticket right now.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart play.
Yeah,
Plumbers, home builders, for sure. All right. What about conferences? Do you attend any? Is there any like must attend conferences that you go to?
I have not attended any conferences. That being said, I was sharing it with you before I started. I'm in a coaching group that I just joined a few months ago, and they have like business conference like once a year, and all the contractors come and meet. Um, just once again, so busy doing my own thing that I just haven't been able to tap into any of that. But and then even locally, there's these different business conferences or home shows. Uh,
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, man, that would be a really great place to bring a machine, park it there, and talk to people coming through. Maybe kids can climb in the machine, and just another way to connect locally with homeowners, and haven't tapped into that yet, and that's on the docket. We got some cool plans for that.
Nice.
Yeah,
How did the Facebook group come about?
great question. When I started, I'm one of those people that I'm a real slow mover, um, and I was looking for mentorship and help because I had all these questions in my head about how do you start a business? How do you do this? How much should I charge? How much all the things, right? And I found, and maybe it's my own hang-ups, but a lot of the local excavation contractors here, they've been so embedded in it, they've been here 20 plus years. I felt like I couldn't approach them, or they wouldn't be open to sharing their secrets, whatever you want to call
Hmm.
it. So I was online looking for different things, and I couldn't find an excavation contractor group. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll just start my own and see where it goes. And so essentially, that's what I did. And then next thing you know, it just started filling up, and there's almost 16,000 members in there now, um, which is super cool. Um, and there's so much talent in there, and guys with some good insights. obviously there's some dickheads too, and they get kicked out. Uh, but you know, there's all kinds of us to make the world go around, and so yeah, that's been a really good help for me. And just lots of things in there. People are posting questions or and answers that I'm like, huh, I never thought of it like that, or huh, maybe I should try and implement that. And that's essentially where that group came from, is just trying to be and do better and win at starting a business and then growing it forward.
Well, and that's one of the unique things about your group is you go in these different Facebook groups, and a lot of it is just, contractors posting images of their equipment or of their work, and that's cool. But your group is really different because there's a lot of questions about running the business, operating the business. So people, are getting like a college education on how to grow an excavation company in your group, which is really, which we can plug it if you want. I mean, is it okay to say
Absolutely,
the name?
please. Yeah, more the merrier. The only rule, like I said, is no dickheads allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Excavation Contractors of North America. Correct me if I'm wrong. How do
Yeah, now that you're putting on the spot, I'm like, what's it called? Excavation Business Owners of North America.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's see, a question chimed in. Larry's asking 400,000 annual revenue. Is that at a 6 month or month timeline? I assume winter affects you like it does the rest of us in the Northeast.
Yep. Great question. Yeah. So that's 8 months of the year. That's 8 months. So basically, what I did was every year I've gone north from here, and I've left for 4 months to go keep working because it ran out here, right? Snow comes and all the things, but uh, I went north to the pipeline and I could still keep working.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that after season one. I still went north. And when I came back, I'm like, well, how can I make enough money essentially to bridge the gap? I've got 8 months of the season um, for my business, and then there's 4 months I'm in it right now where there's nothing essentially. So what I did is I figured out my overhead, what my costs were, what my mortgage payment was, what I wanted to pay myself, um, maintenance, fuel, all of those things, and then base that across 12 months, and then reverse engineered it. I only got 8 months to work, so what do I need to make every single day in order to bridge the gap across the winter? This 4 months. So that's what I've done now, and so yeah. So now I get 4 months of the year to essentially go skiing, work on the business, and just take some time for myself and my family.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Have you thought about adding in any other services for winter, like snow plowing or anything like that?
Yeah. I thought about it. So that means I need to buy a skid steer, right? In order to snowplow. So I don't have a skid steer. And the majority of my jobs during the summer, I don't need a skid steer because I just don't. And the ones that I do, I just rent. If I got to tram material from one side to the other, or move rocks, or whatever it is. So once again, figured out my overhead and all that, and like, does this actually make sense for me to buy a skid steer? Um, and ultimately, the answer was no. And to buy a skid steer to push snow over the winter, that means you're up at 2 a.m. Because all the lots need to be cleared for 7 o'clock when everyone shows.
Hmm.
And it doesn't light my fire, I guess. So it is a possibility. Admittedly, even this year though, we've got snow, but not much. Usually we've got a couple feet by now, and we've got maybe, I don't know, 4 inches. So it's winter here, but it's nothing too crazy. And it just doesn't light my fire. So um, the I guess the short answer is no. Um, and going to keep it that way. I'm just going to try and focus heavily on killing it during the work season, and do what I do best there.
Yeah. And guys, if you have questions, go ahead and type in the QA box, and I'm sure Evan would be more than happy to answer them. So how did you go about, you mentioned you first started landing clients using the Facebook groups. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't remember who my first customer was, but it was essentially that. It was Facebook groups and posting locally, and I made a video, if I remember correctly, just sitting in front of a camera saying, "Hey, my name's Evan. This is what I'm going to do. Appreciate any support locally we can get." And I think I posted that in a few Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe at that time I did go do a little bit of networking, I guess, and tell people what I was up to. Um, that's probably how I remember it. And then watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos on marketing and branding. I knew I wanted to get a truck wrap done, and then found a guy that helped me design a logo and all that stuff, and went to a local truck for a wrap shop, and they helped me out with that. So now I'm a driving billboard everywhere I go. People see Dirtnerd, and that I think that helped too, at least for brand awareness and all those kind of things.
Yeah. I love the name. How'd you come up with the name?
Well, the name was. You want the real story?
I think so. Yeah.
I was envisioning starting a business, and my family has a farm, and their farm is called Echo Valley Farm. And in an ode to them, I was going to name it Echo Valley Contracting or Echo Valley Excavating or something like that. But it kind of sounds generic and meh, you know.
Yeah.
And I was on my couch one night. It was Friday night, and my family was gone. And I flipped on Netflix. I had ate a weed gummy beforehand, and I was just kind of sinking into the couch. And I was flipping through and could not find something interesting to watch. And my mind went to starting this business. And if you've ever had a weed gummy before, your mind can wander and all kinds of creative stuff can happen. And I thought back to a comment a customer had made in the past. There was actually, I was working for another excavation company, and this lady said to me, what are you going to do here? And so I explained to her, like, well, we're gonna scrape the topsoil off because that's the good stuff. I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to do this and that. And I kind of explained to her the process of how that was all going to go. And then once I was done talking, she kind of looked at me and she's like, "You're kind of a dirt nerd, aren't you?" And the little boy in me was like, "Oh, like, can't call me a nerd." Like, it was whatever. And moving on, that conversation came back into my head while I was high on the couch, and I'm like, you know what? That's a really interesting name. So, clearly I don't take myself too seriously, and I'm like, I'm just going to go with that. So that's the genesis of Dirt Nerd.
Yeah, I love it. Very memorable name, and it's fun. And I think you chose an awesome name.
Yeah, thanks.
So what does the sales process look like now from someone who's a total stranger to becoming a customer? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, great question. In the beginning, I get a phone call, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll be right over." And I spent at least 8 hours a week driving to people's yards and talking with them. Lots of times it wouldn't go anywhere, or I'd go home, I'd write up an estimate, I'd send it to them, and I would hear nothing back, and I would just ghost it or whatever the term was.
Yeah.
And then now what I do, Scott, is I through my website, or I'll get a submission form. They'll put their name and all that, and then I'll reach out to them. And before we get on the phone call, I'll ask them to send me pictures. Or even better, video of their space. And it could be a 1 minute video, it could be five. I just say just fly at it. You talk, you use your finger, point in the camera, see what you want done, all that. And so that kind of helps give me context to what they want done. And maybe something, oh, there's a tree in the way, or oh, the gate is only 4 feet wide, but I need 6 feet, or so then I kind of, this is all before I get on the phone with them. Lots of times, I've done it enough times now that I can kind of come up with a ballpark number of what this project might cost, right? I can kind of run through. I'm like, okay, we're going to need 3 loads of gravel. So there's trucking involved there. I'm going to be on site for 2 days. I've got so that's X amount of dollars. And I can kind of figure out those numbers ballpark. Then I'll hop on the phone with them, and we'll have a conversation. We'll kind of talk through their project, and then at the very end, I ask them if I could share with them what something like this might cost, and it's going to cost $5,000, and they're either going to be like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense, or they're going to be like, no, that's way too much money. I thought it was only going to cost $800. So it kind of weeds out the tire kickers and the people that aren't serious. And if they're like, yeah, no, that makes sense, then I'll drive over there and then actually do an on-site consultation and walk through there. And I'm already in the door. And those are almost 100% close rate, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll ask for depending on my schedule and the cost of the project, then we'll ask for a deposit, and that will get them on the schedule, and then we book them in, and then away we go.
Sounds good. So you collect a deposit up front before doing the job. You don't wait until the end, do the work. Did you start off doing all the work and then asking for the money at the end?
Yeah.
And why'd you move away from that?
2 reasons. One was, didn't happen all the time, but you get to the end of the project, and then they start nitpicking, or they start being like, oh well, you were only on site for 2 days, and you said before it was going to be 3 days. So we should get a cheaper, or so now it's like there's a scope of work, and I don't actually include how many days I'm going to be on site. These are just things that I've learned.
Yeah.
And the other one was just it takes them off of the shopping market. It happened to me a couple times where I'd give them a price, they agree, and then I'll reach out, a week and a half later, 2 weeks later. Okay, we should be there in 3 days. Kind of give them notice, and they're like, actually, we talked to another contractor, and he's going to do it for cheaper, and I've lost out on that job, and it's messed up my schedule, because now all of a sudden I have a hole in my schedule, or so it takes them off the market by getting a deposit. It doesn't even have to be a big one. It could be $500, could be, well, whatever, depending
just to psychologically close them that it ends the cycle. They're with you. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, they stop looking.
And so how many weeks out will you sell a job where you're collecting a deposit and you can't get to it till later on? How far out do you like to go?
Well, I don't like to go far. Obviously, the sooner you can get there, the better. And that was something I was bumping up against as a one man show. Is I was sometimes I was out 2 months, you know. And then we do a lot of work for like plumbing and heating companies, like I shared before. And so there's maybe there's a water line break, and that water line needs to be, there's the homeowner's front yard's flooded out. Well, they need to be there tomorrow or the next day. So I was losing out on those jobs as well because we need to get that fixed, right? And I'm like, sorry, I just can't get to you because I'm booked out. So this year was probably like a month out. We were booked. Um, so yeah, does that answer your question?
It did. And are you using contracts, or is it a handshake or just an invoice? How does that look?
You know what, Scott? I don't actually have a real like lawyer written contract up.
Mhm.
Um, we've got one built into the estimate that kind of sets expectations, and for both sides, that I've written up. Me and my wife have written up, but that's actually something we're going to be implementing. Is coming up with like a 1 or 2 pager, just kind of written contract. But estimate wise, we use a CRM that we send over an estimate for a proposal, and that customer can accept it, and then they can just digitally with their hand on the computer screen kind of write their little signature in, and that's how we've been doing it.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
And do you collect payments too, like using the app?
Yep. Yep. We can accept credit card. It's called Market is the
I think
one
I've
that we
heard of it.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's other ones that are out there. There's Jobber. There's all kinds that one just seems to be working good for us, and it's pretty reasonably priced. Um, so yeah, we can accept a deposit via credit card, or we just e-transfer just right in this. And that's actually another thing that's speeded up the process is you e-transfer, you set it up in your business account where all the money goes into.
Mhm.
You don't need a passcode, like set it up so you don't need to go in there and like
Ooh.
accept their deposit every time. It just automatically goes in. So it just speeds up that whole process. Just a
Oh,
random
nice.
for you.
Very good. Now, you mentioned that you're in a coaching group, and we talked about mindset. And I mean, a lot of that is just so critical with owning and running a business. Can you touch upon more of that on some things you do for personal development and mindset in that way?
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, it's something I've struggled with. Just the how do you put it? Knowing that I can do something, even though I've always been able to do it. Everything I've done, I can generally pull it off, but it's like this little man on my shoulder just whispering to me, Evan, you're going to screw it up. Evan, you don't really know what you're doing. Um, I don't know where that comes from, but it's kind of always been there. So now I've been kind of able to like basically like tell him to shut up and like get in the back. Uh, so what's helped me with that is being around other people that are doing things, and trying to win at life, not in a conceited way, but just win at what we're doing, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I listen to a ton of podcasts and audiobooks, and then have people around me that are trying to do big and interesting things as well. And just by osmosis, just by and hanging out with those people, and listening to those things, it keeps me in that space. And the more I do, um, the more as it's possible. Um, but I know I'm not alone with with that struggle, and it's always surprised me how much I can do, and
Mhm.
you just have to really want it. And that's the thing with business. It's like, um, yeah, you just have to really want it, and essentially, you're trying to change your life. That's why you're starting a business. You're trying to change the trajectory of your past and where you want to go. And if you don't have like this internal thing in your chest
Yeah.
where you're trying to do something, if you don't have that, then I'm not saying you have to start a business, but if you want to start a business and you want to succeed at it, you have to have this thing inside of your chest that like tells you to like get out of your comfort zone and just shut up and do. And lots of things don't work out how you hoped, but they've rolled the ball forward a little bit, and then you just have to keep going, right? And still, you have to make good decisions. You can't just like throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. But you have to learn, and all these coaching groups or podcasts are all great, but then the implementation has to happen. You got to do the things that you're learning and you're seeing these people do, right? So, and that's it, man.
Penny had a question. She was asking, how do you time manage the job versus the prospective jobs? How do you time manage the job versus, I think she's saying prospecting new jobs? Hopefully that's right, Penny. You time manage the job versus prospect. Does that make sense to you?
No,
Sorry, Penny. Maybe you can. Oh, she said correct. We got it right. So when you're on the job, you're on the job. Well, you've shifted a bit where you're not the one in the field. You're more freed up at this point now, where you can go out and be selling other jobs. Is that right?
you're talking to me, Scott?
Yeah, I'm talking
Yeah.
to you.
Okay. Um, moving forward, that's what I'm doing. Um, Before that, life was just completely full. So while I'm working, I'm taking phone calls. I switched to a Bluetooth thing, so I got
Mhm.
Bluetooth earbuds, so I can keep talking and working. Um, the Have a notebook in my behind my seat, so while I'm talking to the person, I pull that notebook out and scroll, so their name, their phone number, their address, kind of what they're looking for. Um, Time management, admittedly, Penny, has been super tough for me, and it's just one of those learning things that I've had to get better at. And if I was to critique myself and Dirtnerd, that's something I've struggled with. Um, and new customers coming in. Admittedly, there's quite a few that's snuck through the cracks. I get a phone call, yeah, I'll phone you back tomorrow or tonight, and then life happens, and then all of a sudden 3 days later, I'm like, didn't somebody phone me? Wasn't there something
Mm.
supposed to? Oh no, and then um, it's happened, and another reason why I was like, okay, I got to get out of the machine, and 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 take hold of that part of the business, um, because working with anybody, you have to serve, and that was something that has been really lacking, and I'm better than most people, but that's talking about implementation and in doing all these things, that's part of it, right? So what do
Mm.
you do to change to get better? Does that answer your question?
I think so. I think you hit the nail on the head. Now, who else you're going to be freeing yourself up here into 2024 to focus working on the business, selling new jobs? Have you thought about others, the next steps of who you're going to hire next?
Yeah, so my wife, actually, she comes from a uh, an engineering background, and she's worked for a company for many years, and was looking for a transition. And we're at the point now where we were able to basically bring her on in March, and she kind of is working on cleaning up all of the taxes and the the paperwork and some of those loose ends. Uh,
Mm.
so she's been on since March, and that's been super helpful. Um, and then I've had, once again, talking about overhead and all that, we had to factor her wage into things as well, right? So yeah, so that's, I guess technically that was my first hire. And then we brought this sub on, um, yeah, a few months ago, and that's worked out well too. So it's just growing a little bit slowly, and yeah, that's how that's gone.
Cool. Yeah, Penny says you answered her questions. She says we're in the same boat. Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, great.
Well, so what's the goal for 2024? What are you looking to do revenue wise? What's the outlook of where you see the company?
Um, Great question. We're looking to we're looking for even more of a niche potentially. Um, there's have you ever heard of water features, like ponds and water features and waterfalls and all that?
Yeah, pond construction is pretty big here in the US. Is that what you're talking about?
No. When I say ponds, I mean like 10 by 10 pond that would fit in someone's yard, and you could have goldfish or and create like outdoor living spaces. Um,
Yeah.
so no one in the Okanagan's doing that, and there's money here for that. And so we traveled to Chicago to it's called Aquascape, and we traveled there in March and took in 3 days there, just kind of seeing what that looks like in that business. And so that's kind of something that we're gonna dip our toe into and see if it's a fit around here. And those jobs you can sell at a higher profit margin, and could still fit with all the equipment that we have right now. So that's where we're gonna dip our toe in there. Not sure, it's a nice to have versus a need. So we don't know what's going on with the economy, and if people are going to have money to spend on those things. So we're going to continue to focus on the needs. So fixing water lines, retaining walls, all that kind of excavation stuff. But we're going to maybe tap into that little piece over here and see if it's something. So we're revamping our website this
Mhm.
winter to include that. And
Nice.
revenue wise, I mean, we've doubled every year, so I feel like we could double again with another machine on. So I think 800 to $1 million is where we're aiming at.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the water feature, that's a really smart play, and that would attract, higher income
yeah,
customers for sure.
yeah,
And there's that old adage, you can't go wrong selling what rich people want or something like that. I can't
yeah,
remember, but
yeah. There's this book that I read called Blue Ocean Strategy, and basically the premise of the book is finding a niche and being different than your competitors. So the idea is like you're all of us excavation guys were swimming in an ocean, and the ocean is red because we're all like chewing and going after our all the jobs. But what if you could go somewhere else in the ocean where it's blue and it's just you, and
Mhm.
you're getting all that? That's kind of the premise of the book, and so that got me thinking about, okay, what can we do differently? Um, so obviously there's septics and there's all that, and but it's, once again, it's kind of hard to get people excited to spend money on a septic system, on poo, right?
All right.
And it's underground, and you just don't see it, and you just know you can't drive over there, and you got to pump it out every once in a while. Like it's hard to get people excited to spend money on that. Um, but what could you get them excited to spend money on? And that's kind of where I'm thinking.
Cool. I'm excited to see how that develops for you. That's
Yeah.
interesting. What about I'm trying to think of software and stuff like that that's been helpful for your business. You mentioned one of them. What other kinds of software are you using or thinking about using for the business?
Well, like I said, Market is the CRM that we use, and it's done well. We're kind of seeing if maybe we should go a different route so that, when you bring employees on, they can have access to that. They can tie into that software so that when they show up to a job, there's the call before you dig. All of those things are on there. We're thinking about, I think it's called Company Cam,
Hmm.
and um, so I get a phone call from a customer or from a potential customer. I go there, look at their job, and then it's going to be a go, say. So then I can take pictures and I can take video and upload it to Company Cam. And so there's documentation of the book before. I can walk through the project, talk out loud to either to the customer that can be sent to them, or to one of the operators that's going to come, and I can be like, hey, Joe, this tree here or this bush here needs to stay. So we have to like work around that. We've got a water line here where there's a gas line here. We can kind of talk through all that stuff. Um, so that when the operator shows up to the site, they can just pull up that app, and they can watch the video, look at the pictures, and walk the site while I'm talking to them on the video, so that I don't have to be on site at that exact moment when they're starting because maybe they got something else going on. So just another way to kind of take me out, but still have been there. Um, so we're looking at Company Cam. My wife uses Excel a lot. I don't know how to run it or work it, but so she's inputting all the numbers and she knows all the codes and stuff to do that, and that's been super helpful figuring out overhead and costs, like job costing after a job's done, and even estimating, right? Um, so that we know what to charge.
Hmm. That company cam sounds really awesome. So that's like basically like a project management software that could be used for you and your team
Yeah,
as
exactly.
you're documenting the process. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And what I like about it is, if you look at my phone, it's mixed with family pictures and then business pictures and videos, and it's just a big snarl of stuff, right? Just a big snarl. Um, so I'd love to be able to like separate that somehow. And I'm sure you can within the settings on your phone. I don't know how to do that, but you're like, okay, what was that job back in November? And blah blah blah, and you can go through there and you can label everything and punch it in there, and like I want the access between my employees and myself in a file where there's pictures and there's documentation, versus me like sending a random photo to them and then it gets lost in the mix, right? I'm looking for a place to hold everything just so it's more structured and seamless, right?
And it sounds really organized because I'm imagining you have all your different jobs outlined and then you just click into the job and it's got all the notes and
Yeah,
pictures and video, and the
yeah.
customer would have access to that too.
You can send the specific link, and I've had a buddy try this for me. So you can send the video link to the customer of the walkthrough or whatever you want. You don't have to send them all the stuff. You can just send them the individual ones that you want.
Very cool. I'm going to
Yeah,
look into that.
yeah.
What are some words of wisdom that you would want to share with the guy or gal starting out in this business?
I mean, I think I've kind of shared it already, but you have to really want it, and I think that means like sitting down by yourself and contemplating it and getting like really super real with yourself, because if it's just like a shiny idea, I call it shiny object syndrome. It's like, you want an excavator and you want the tilt rotator, you want all these things, and it's fun to like roll over in your mind and think about. It's fun to think about. But then the reality kicks in, and yes, you have to make that payment, and you have to make that insurance, and you got fuel, and then you got marketing, and you got a website, and all those things. The object's just the shiny excavator, but there's a lot of things that come with that. So you have to get really real on if it's something that you actually want to pursue. Um, and if you're like, yeah, no, it's just I like the idea of it, but it's not. Then all of a sudden it's this overhead that comes onto you. So you buy the excavator, and then now you got a $2,000 a month payment, and it's just sucking you dry. And all of a sudden the winter comes, and now you're not moving at all, or you're whatever, right? So you just have to get really clear on the lifestyle change that you want to make, and yeah, you got to really want it.
Sure. You mentioned a good book, Blue Ocean Strategy. I'm familiar with that one. Any other books that you would recommend that have really helped you out?
Um, Pull up my Audible right now. I mean, admittedly, I listen to so many that they get lost in the mix sometimes, right? But let's see what pops out to me. Um, Donald Miller, How to Grow Your Small Business, is one that I finished about a month ago. And he also has a book called Story Brand. So those two things, Story Brand is basically creating a website and marketing, talking to the customer versus, and it's basically you make the customer the hero versus Dirtnerd shows up and we're the hero and rah rah rah.
Mm,
It's like serving the customer and being empathetic to what they want, and then you write your the copy on your website speaks to them versus how you can help them versus how great you are as the contractor. That's Story Brand, and the follow-up book is How to Grow Your Small Business. That both of those two ones are very helpful, and they also have a podcast as well. I think it's called Story Brand. I don't know what it is. You'll find it. Donald Miller on Spotify or Apple. Um, they got a podcast where they interview people and talk to business owners that have implemented this strategy. So
very cool. I'll have to check that one out.
that's great.
Well, we're coming up on time. Does anyone else have any other questions for Evan? Now's the time to get them in. He's got his Facebook group, Excavation Business Owners of North America, right?
Correct. Yeah.
We're clear on that? Yeah. Join there. It's a very helpful group. I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it. Dirtnerd Earthworks. So if is it Okanagan? Did I say it right?
Okanagan.
Okanagan. If you're out there and you need excavating work or even water features, are you actually going to be providing that now? Are you set to go?
Yep, that's right. We're building one at our house this spring. Well, we kind of already started it, and then winter came. But so we're gonna hopefully finish that in the spring, and then start selling those jobs.
Very cool. That's awesome. And you'll take some pretty pictures of it, put it up on the website, use it as a demo.
Use it as a demo, and if it makes sense, if a customer is really interested in it, we're going to invite them out to the place, and we'll try and time it so it's like 6 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock in the evening. They roll in. We'll have the water feature going with some lights on and create some kind of an ambiance, and we'll see how that goes.
Nice. So your home is going to become the showroom.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. It's I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with that, but that's kind of where we're leading.
Yeah, invite them over, give them a glass of wine, and then sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Evan, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You provided tremendous amount of value. You were an open book, so thanks for sharing everything. And everyone who attended and is watching this, thank you so much for your time. And that's pretty much it. I guess we'll go ahead and bring it to a close, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. If you guys have any more questions, just reach out on Instagram or Facebook, Dirtnerd Earthworks, and find me there, and we'll talk.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Evan. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, catch you later, Scott.
Yep. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us. Take care.